Hello all, and welcome to tonight's beer review, which I'm going to dub the Clearing Out the Refrigerator review. So like I said in the previous review, I'm going to be reviewing some things I've had in my refrigerator for some time, and one of them is this. I originally reviewed the first bottle of this in February 2024. I am now reviewing the last bottle of this. Why am I reviewing the last bottle of this? Well, of course, whenever I want it to go and do a close up, it doesn't. But yeah, there's starting to be some, there's some corrosion forming on the cap. So because of that, I figured I might as well go and open it up now. Um, so my original review of this was two bottles that were given to me by my father. They were gifted by viewer Spencer Chun, who is a co-worker of my father, well, former co-worker of my father, since my father is now retired. And yeah, he wanted me to review this beer. And he had been saving it for quite some time. This was bottled on 7/7/2020, so during the peak of COVID, which makes this beer slightly older than 5 years old. So at 12.0 ABV, it should be at its peak right now, because you really ought not to go and age beers too long. They're not like Madeira wines. They're not going to last 30 years in the cellar. I mean, I know some people do have like bottles of Bigfoot barley wine going back to the early 2000s. But from my experience with aging Bigfoot, granted, I'm not aging it in under the ideal conditions, um, being that I live in Hawaii. Um, it didn't seem to last much longer than 3 or 4 years before it really started a steep and precipitous decline in quality. So, and of course, Bigfoot is about 10% ABV. This is a little bit higher in ABV, and it's also a bourbon barrel aged. So this is a flavored stout, bourbon barrel aged with the addition of, and let me get my glasses on. This is also getting pretty blurry too on the label. Ale brewed with chocolate, coffee, chocolate and coffee. Oh, what's this on here? Aged in oak bourbon barrel. Highly acclaimed KBS, a flavored stout is good for everyone. A flavored stout ought to be good for. Is good for everything a flavored stout ought to be good for. Even with glasses, this is hard to read. This beer taught us that patience truly is a virtue. KBS is a big imperial stout brewed with a massive amount of coffee and chocolate, and then bourbon barrel aged to perfection. Incredibly silky and full-bodied with notes of vanilla, cocoa, roasted coffee, and charred oak. Yeah, oopsie. So let's just go and get to opening this already. And yeah, I'm a little hoarse. Practiced my guitar today. Been practicing "Oh Holy Night," so that song is hard on the vocal cords. Let's put it this way. Maybe I should have a sip of water. So yeah, pouring it out into the snifter again. Oh, oh my. Almost like an aroma of chocolate liqueur. Not much head. Not expecting much head. One, because it's a barrel aged stout at 12.0 ABV. And two, because it's been aged for 5 years. So carbonation tends to slowly sort of escape. So pitch black, oily. No light is getting through whatsoever, even when I put it right in front of the light. with a thin, lacy brown head that is pretty much already gone. But that's okay. This is creating enough aroma that I don't need the head to go and aerate, you know. Whew. Coffee. A very dense umami sort of um, condensed soy sauce sort of smell. Wood char. Uh, Licorice notes there. Yeah. Just some hints of vanilla. The vanilla is almost gone by now. I remember having much more vanilla last time I reviewed it. Yeah. The umami is much more that almost soy-like umami is much more present. With the bourbon barrel and coffee also being there, vanilla's almost completely gone. But yeah, don't even need to put it in my mouth to see how thick and oily this is. I mean, look at that. It's almost like used motor oil. Okay, onto the palate now. Yeah, carbonation has declined somewhat. It's still there. I remember being how surprised with how well carbonated it was for a barrel aged stout. Still has a little bit of bite to it. Much more bourbon in the top note, but the initial is still of that very thick, almost um, overwhelming umami right in the very front. Booziness is much more apparent, especially in the finish. Um, it's not hot, at least, but it definitely does have a top note of alcohol. And I'm already feeling that 12% ABV, let me tell you. Yeah, I remember it being a lot more nuanced last time. Granted, I am having it a bit colder than I did last time as well. I think I left it out of the refrigerator like 20 minutes last time, which was a bit too much. This time was only about 10 minutes, which I think is kind of too little. 15 minutes is kind of the magic number there, I guess. There's a long lasting roastiness on the palate that is still pretty subtle. It doesn't have the sharp edges of, you know, the usual stout roasty finish. Again, getting lots of licorice, herbaceous sort of notes. Almost like a horsehead size, without the sort of minty notes that horsehead can have. Just really, really herbaceous underneath that kind of thick umami soy sauce too. So it warms up. Some chocolate is, I'm sensing it on the palate. I'm not getting any in the top note or the nose. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. It really does not look like, it really does look that viscous, like, like like oil. Definitely is chewy on the palate. Kind of grain note is also, roasted grain note is also emerging um, from the finish. Yeah, I think Spencer probably stored this better than I did, but I don't really have much choice in how I store things. Mm, interesting. Probably should have had something to eat before this. Yeah. Whew. Oddly enough, I'm not getting too much of a reaction from this yet. Cross my fingers. Huh. Looking at my previous video where I went on for over 20 minutes, I seem to have a lot more to talk about. This is this is still pretty nice. By no means is it repulsive. Well, I don't know. If you're one of those people who doesn't like an umami note in your beer, yeah, it'll probably be kind of a repulsive one. This one is very much a barrel aged stout. If you don't like barrel aged stouts, you're not going to like this. Barrel aged stouts are not something that I seek out in the beer world, but I appreciate them when I do try them. They generally are of the price range that I don't try them too often. But ooh, yeah, this is warming up. It is getting really herbaceous. You know, almost like a Chinese medicine shop character there. You know, right in that top note, it's just like woof, you're just whacked with a bunch of dried herbs. Yeah. Well, I had a lot more to say last time. I think maybe about 3 to 4 years is probably the magic number for this. Well, like 5 years is not too bad, but you know, corrosion probably came because it was in my refrigerator. course, you open and close your refrigerator a lot, so that means condensation goes and forms, which is not good on bare metal. Oh, hey, I forgot. They have that little written note there, which I am not able to see without glasses. So, yeah. Let's go and see what it says on this one. Barrel Age Series. Huh. Could have swore there was a note on there in the last one, but oh well. Maybe it's on the side. Oh, even with glasses, I'm not going to be able to read that. So you can also see the issue with condensation. Labels starting to peel a little bit on the edges there. Then it's starting to get blurry. And that's just because when you open and close a refrigerator, condensation goes and forms. The ideal way to go and store this is in a cool, dark place around 60 degrees. But such a thing does not exist in Hawaii for half the year. You know, you go and stick something in the back of the cupboard, it's going to be still during the summer around 78 to 82 degrees back there. And also, too, given that this is Hawaii, roaches are going to eat the label. And especially if you live in an old house like I do. I can go and show you what's happened to like some of my books, like the really old ones that use all organic printing inks and whatnot from like the 1940s through 1960s. Also, like binding glue that's organic. Whew. They love that. They'll eat the hell out of that. But yeah. Oh boy, that alcohol's really starting to hit me now. That's the other thing about bourbon barrel aged stouts is like it's a bit much for me. You know what I mean? Um, I like to have a couple, 2 to 3 beers. With one of these, you're basically done for the night after one of them. That's for sure. But anyways, I'm rambling. I'm just realizing the irony now that I've never tried this fresh. I've never actually seen the bottle on the shelves. Like I said, the 2 bottles I received were gifts. The next time I review this, I am definitely going to try to find it fresh so I can review how it is when it's fresh. I'm pretty sure that the coffee and chocolate is just absolutely overwhelming when it is fresh. And, at the post 5 year mark, like this one is, that's after all the things have had time to go and get married together and merge and just solidify into taste, a single unit of taste. Oh, 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 oh. Still got carbonation. Give it that. Still got some carbonation in there. Still carbonated after all these years. Is that a song or something? Oh my god. Yeah, I am really rambling. This is hitting me hard because I didn't eat and because it's 12.0 ABV. C'est la vie. Rhymes with ABV. Anyways, before I further lose any sort of, well, I don't have any dignity left to preserve, but before I lose what is beyond that, I should probably go and wrap this up without any further digressions, without any further ramblings, slurred ramblings, or what have you. Definitely give this one a shot. It's an interesting one. Try one fresh. Then go and stick one away for about 3 years and try it again and see what you come up with. Yeah. Founders Kentucky breakfast stout, barrel aged with coffee and vanilla. So at this point, the vanilla is pretty much dang near gone. And that, folks, is your beer review for this Friday evening. And I am very tempted to go and start singing "Oh Holy Night," but oh my God, would that just be... It wouldn't be a holy night anymore after practicing for 45 minutes of playing and then having a beer. It would be a night, but it wouldn't be a holy night anymore, that's for sure. Cheers.